So you're young, you're farming, you're cooking. What was like the step of like I'm going to become a chef? Was it?
Oh no, that
age?
wasn't a step at all. It was, my mom and dad fell on hard times. It all happened like at once, right?
Yeah.
Grandfather passes away.
Yeah.
I'm graduating high school. My dad, before the laws and regulations and protections were in place to protect people's pensions.
Yeah.
Kind of like him and a bunch of his World War II buddies got reassigned desk jobs at a lower pay because they knew they would quit and then they wouldn't have to pay their retirement.
Yeah.
So my dad quit his job because they dissed him, and he and all of his buddies found out that the world didn't want a 55-year-old salesman, so he had nothing.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get work. So we had a younger brother and sister. My older brother and I had to move out. My mom and dad had to downsize. And my mom is like, let's get you a job in a restaurant. You'll get a meal a day and a paycheck.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You can cook. So it really was just a kind of a survival strategy, defense mechanism.
Yeah. At this time, this was still Chicago?
Yeah, it was Chicago.
Yeah.
All Chicago.
All Chicago. So what was your first restaurant job?
Oh, my first restaurant job was on the Russell Road exit, Illinois-Wisconsin border, called Center's Truck Stop. It just got demolished like about 7 or 8 years ago, but I used to like tape people there and say, that's my first job.
That's your first
right
job.
there. And I was actually taking my kids to show them one day, and it was like a pile of rubble with wrecking balls and cranes. I'm like, no!
You're like, what's that?
But that was my first. But that led immediately to me. There was a guy there. The guy who owned the truck stop was a real workout, and he had a kitchen manager who's a former Navy cook who is very, very, very difficult. And I came in and really could cook.
Yeah.
I mean, their version of biscuits and gravy was a can of Hormel chipped beef.
Oh yeah.
And that white gloppy sauce.
Stuff.
Yeah. And frozen biscuits. And I came in, I'm like, looked at a griddle, and I'm like, what a marvelous invention. I'd never seen anything. Cleaned it out, saved the grease, made gravy, real gravy, and baked biscuits. And the Navy cook, this Jack guy, got pissed off at me. He's like, you're going to make my work hard. I'm like, I'll do it all,
Yeah.
And the waitresses are like, wow, this is great, real biscuits and gravy. But his nephew was working there because he had trouble keeping staff. Would come up during the week and work there because he worked in Chicago in restaurants. And he saw me working. He's like, you got skills. You need to get the hell out of here. It's like,
you need to go.
Yeah, so I worked at a place called Sage's Restaurant in Arlington Heights.
Okay.
And it was funny. He's like, I'll get you a job there. It's like $2 more an hour. I'm like, wow.
You're like,
yeah, let's do that.
And
it's funny because it's just like I didn't know what to call shit, so I often was like relegated to prep and stuff like that. And I remember the Alsatian chef. We were in the weeds. Some people had quit. We were getting ready to open the restaurant. There's a leg of veal sitting on the counter, and guys are like hacking chunks off of it and pounding it out to make like a veal roulatini for these hors d'oeuvres, and just trying to hack it off and pound it out and make it as they go. I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're the dumb white kid. I'm like, no, I can do that. And this like lead cook hands me a boning knife, and I start seaming this leg of veal out very rapidly, and they're like, holy shit, he's a butcher.
He can do it.
I'm not a butcher. But I'm just like seeing it out, and they're like, give me the eye of the round. And I'm like, what's that? They're like, oh, it kind of looks like a dick. It's like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. And that's when they're like, oh, he doesn't know what to call stuff.
Yeah.
So within a couple of months, the chef was like, will you be my sous chef? I'm like, what's that? He's like, $5 more an hour. I'm like, cool, I'm a sous chef.
Do it.
So I didn't think I was going to be a chef.
Yeah.
I just...
But you never went
Food was easy for me.
You were self-trained. You never went to culinary school.
No.
Yeah, so self-trained. So Sage was the second place you went to.
Yep.
Alsatian, how do you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Alsatian chef?
No,
From Alsace?
yeah. Jean Witts, Witts from Alsace. And then he introduced me to this guy, Wilfred Ladd, who was the chef at the time at Latour at the Park Hyatt, the original Park Hyatt.
Oh.
Very elegant, beautiful. needed help. So I got a job there. He's like, oh, you have a future with Hyatt. And then I worked at the Hyatt Regency Woodfield and then got promoted to Milwaukee. This is all within a couple of years.
So you were climbing the ranks pretty quickly.
Breakfast cook at a truck stop to executive sous chef of the Hyatt Regency Milwaukee by 1980.